Yay. Okay, let's try this again. Hey guys, hello. Oh my gosh, I'm frustrated. I just recorded this whole entire video and the audio was bad. So I have to redo it again with the same, if not more energy than I did before. That's not easy to do. Not for me anyway. So I'm going to try it again. I'm going to give it the old college try. So, hey, hi. Nice to see you guys. Hope you had a nice holiday. As we approach a few more holidays, we have Kwanzaa going on right now and Hanukkah as well for our Jewish friends. And next week we have New Year's. So New Year's Eve is Tuesday night. My daughter was born New Year's Day at just after midnight. So yes, we were in the newspaper. Nice to see you guys. The title of the video today is my top 3 cold-blooded criminal cases. Some of these cases are unbelievable. They're true, but they're hard to understand and comprehend as normal people, which is us. And I want to bring this year to a close, not focusing necessarily on the bad points of the case that we're going to talk about, but more remembering the victims in all of these cases. So it's important to me as a psychic and somebody who's channeled many of these victims. They do come to me a lot of times because I'm talking about them. They kind of hear my voice and they're like, oh, she's talking about me. I'm going to go see what she's saying, basically. So we're going to talk about that. And don't forget, I have a brand new book just out in stores now. It's on Amazon. You can get the ebook there for $15, or you can get your hands on a hard copy softbound book for $20 on dorrancepublishing.com. If you're in the UK or mainland Europe, you can get them there as well. I have the links in the description box down below. So it's a book about loss, about living after our loved ones have passed. Yes, it's a children's book about death. It's very important. It's very important to get the right tools, not only for the kids in your life, but for you. This book is absolutely adult relatable as well. And I don't want to give away the plot, but it is about a man losing somebody. A couple things happen in the book, but the book took me 4 years to get published. I did self-publish, but it is completely legit. It's got a ISBN number and it's registered and copywritten, whatever, all that stuff with the lawyers and the courts and all that. So it's a legitimate, real book. The artwork is done by somebody in Australia. Funny enough, not related to my husband at all. But yeah, I connected through his mom. She approached me. She knew I needed a illustrator. I love the artwork. It's very, I think for the younger generations, that are right now, like 20s, 30s. I think it's the artwork of their kind of generations. But the message doesn't change depending on your generation. And this is a classic book. The information in my book is never going to change. It's always going to be applicable to whatever loss you have going on. So it's a great tool. It's a good gift. It's something good to have before you have a loss in your family so that you can kind of go back and think, yeah, I remember that book, Hero the Dog. Hero the Dog is a German Shepherd. But check it out, please. I really appreciate it. I didn't do it to make money. In fact, it cost me thousands and thousands of dollars to make out of my own pocket. But it is that important to me that you have the tools you need. So I appreciate your support and check out the book. All right, so I have 3 awful cases I want to talk about. I'm not going to get in super deep to them, but deep enough where you're going to get a gist of what happened in this case, about the actual events of the murdering and the conclusion in the courtroom. I guess we could say. All three of these cases are done, finito, they're done. Everyone's in jail and prison and everything, but I'll explain as we go. This first case is out of Ohio. I almost said Idaho. Ohio. Claremont County, Monroe Township. This thing, I don't want to call him a man or father, he assassinated his 3 little boys. Little, 3, 4, and 7. We have the youngest little guy, his name is was named Chase. And then we have Hunter, who was 4, and Clayton, who was 7. Very young, adorable little boys. So I've typed out a ton of notes here. So I'm going to be referencing my papers down here. Sorry for the reflection in my glasses, but I need them. So I have about a 4-minute video halfway through my little summary here. It's going to be a long video. Just so you know, it's going to be a long video. I'm relaxed. I want you to relax. I want you to just kind of open your mind and see how you feel about what happened in this case. And also, so important, how do you feel about how our country's handling these different cases? Do you think it was fair? Do you think it's right? Do you think it's not fair? What should have happened? So the criminal case against Chad Dorman is over, but prosecutors say there may never be an answer to why Dorman, his name's Chad Dorman, took the lives of his 3 young children. Dorman pled guilty to 3 counts of aggravated murder and 2 counts of felonious assault as part of a plea deal with prosecutors who agreed to stop the pursuit of the death penalty in exchange for the admission of guilt. The man was going to get the gas chamber or electric chair, whatever. They were going to kill him. Prosecutors said the day that Chad was arrested, we're going to put him to death. I mean, no bones about it. They were going to kill him. He was sentenced to 3 life sentences, consecutive life sentences in prison without the possibility of parole. Additionally, the 2 felonies of assault charges carry a 16-year minimum sentence, which would also be served consecutively. So not at the same time, but one after the other. It's been nearly 14 months since Clayton, 7, Hunter, 4, and 3-year-old Chase were found shot in the front yard of their own home while their father sat quietly on the porch with his rifle by his side. And I'm going to show you that video. Prosecutor said there had been no other complaints. There were no disturbances from that house or the owners of the home, Chad or his wife or the kids. On June 15th, Dorman went to the Anderson Township Kroger's Little Clinic after he reported having some confusing feelings. He left the clinic after less than 2 minutes without signing in or talking to staff. So those kids could have been saved if that clinic could have seen him, or if, Dorman returned home early from work and spent the day doing yard work and playing with the kids outside. His wife made lunch, and when she made the lunch, Dorman called it his last good meal. So he knew, premeditated. Dorman started pacing the house carrying a Bible and mumbling, "Chad knows what's right," according to prosecutors. He then went into his gun safe in the master bedroom, and his wife was kind of getting some bad feelings, some scary behavior. She told him she's scared, what's going on? And he said, "I'm just kidding. I'm just playing around." His wife didn't want him to be alone, so she and her sons went into the master bedroom with him, and he asked everybody to lay down. with him. So his mom, dad, and the 3 boys. So at some point, Dorman got back out of bed and got his .22 caliber out of the gun safe and shot one of the boys right then and there. His wife called 911 screaming for her other children to run. "My husband shot my baby," she shouted to a dispatcher before the call disconnected. The couple's other kids could be heard screaming in the background. Dorman chased one of the boys into a field behind the house and shot him as he fled, then again at close range. The boy's sister picked up her last surviving brother and ran with him toward a nearby firehouse. Dorman caught up to her and at gunpoint demanded she put the boy down. She put the child down, then she begged Dorman to not shoot her. She witnessed the defendant attempting to shoot the little boy. However, the gun misfired, and the little boy ran to his mother. The boy's sister kept running toward the fire station, telling a passerby in the car that her father was killing her family. Dorman went to the last boy and shot him. The mother suffered a gunshot wound to her hand trying to protect the boys. She put her thumb or her finger in the barrel of the gun, and so I'm assuming the finger's blown off, but that's where her gunshot is. After all 3 boys were gone, he picked them each up and placed them in the front yard. "I called and no one came." The boy's mother frantically screamed at a second 911 call. Their father killed them all. She's telling the 911 operator, like, "Where were you? You failed my family," basically. 2 Claremont County Sheriff deputies reached the home just before 4:30 with their guns drawn. They approached Dorman, who was casually sitting on the front porch of his house. And I'm going to show you that clip. It's about 4 minutes. And just look at the clip. It's like, I just see so much tranquility. If you look at it from a distance, somebody would think, wow, what a nice life this young family probably has. They have a camper trailer, cute little camper trailer there, a couple of newish cars, plenty of space to run and play. Cute little house there, looks very manicured, clean, kept up, and everything. And then this tragedy happens. So let's go to the video.
Shooter stay on the porch.
Get him right here. You got him on the porch.
We've asked. That's the last place we've been told.
You show me your hands now! Stand up and walk towards us! Stand up now! Walk towards us! Stand up with your hands up!
We know we got a visual in the veil. Not showing his hands, not following commands.
Stand up now!
Not showing hands or following commands. His name is Chad Dorman. Chad Dorman.
I know, but we can't.
If you're going to first aid and he's not complying, and you know he's a shooter, shoot him.
We gotta find cover first. We ain't no good if we ain't safe ourselves. Hey, no. We need to come from this side where we can see them. Don't take cover behind her. We see them. We're going to approach from this side. We got cover. Right here.
6 Robert, 29 and 63 attack on. Yeah, we're okay right now.
Show us your fucking hands now! Stand up! Stand up! Stand up! Stand up now! Stand up! Stand the fuck up!
EMS to stage and air carrier is going to go ahead and fly whenever any units can advise.
Get your hands out of here.
72.
Tell them we're 21. It's in the air.
Those guys can confirm that there's people that need first aid, and that's the shooter who's not complying. They need to take care of the victims. They have to shoot him and shoot him.
Man, I ain't trying to hurt nobody. I'm completely sober. Never did drugs.
63, we're 21. Get the EMS over here.
Well, I did drugs when I was little, but I don't do drugs now. I'm sober. I'm not trying to fight you.
63.
Get your butt inside. Gatlin, get your butt inside.
We on primary?
Now.
29, we got 3 kids down.
3 kids down, 16 down.
Gatlin.
63, we're 21. Have EMS respond over here.
You're clear, they're being advised.
Robert 34, just started mass casualty response.
63, do you want them to respond to the Laurel Lindale address? Where exactly do you need them?
We're right in the front yard.
He took my life from me! My life!
What are you doing, man?
Hey, are you copying all this?
Can I roll over? I ain't gonna hurt you. I ain't gonna hurt nobody.
You got anything on you?
No, I ain't got nothing, man. Phone, that's it. I ain't mad. I ain't nothing. Just make sure that dog don't come out. I don't think he'll bite you. Just don't reach for him and try to grab him and pet him.
All right.
He won't bite you.
What's going on, man?
Nothing. Can I stand up? It's kind of uncomfortable.
I'm gonna get you here in a
I ain't
second.
running away. You can do whatever you want with me.
Here. You the only one else inside the house?
What?
You the only one else inside the house?
Yeah.
Sit down right here.
My daughter, she ran over to the fire department.
Sit down.
It's my stepdaughter.
Put him in the cage.
This is Will. This is Will.
They're all being advised they've requested 2 additional medics. There's also air clearance flying, but they need an LV. The medics have needs to get.
Can you get the wallet out of my back pocket?
Shut up, dude.
21.
You had the right to remain silent and fucking use it.
Yes, sir.
Take the call, I'm on the mouse right now. I'm almost there.
Does that seem... Normal's not even a word that I could apply to this situation. It's like demonic. That's what I feel like. I feel the presence of such in this particular situation. So during a roughly 2.5-hour interview, Dorman claimed to have connections with the CIA and said that his wife had poisoned him. Detective Michael Ross testified to that in court. Dorman also said he had been planning the executions for months, and he often had trouble sleeping because of his plans. He, again, very, very premeditated. His statements in that interview were ruled inadmissible after a judge found the detective did not properly advise Dorman of his rights and failed to stop the interview when Dorman asked for a lawyer. And I do remember seeing that interview thinking, yikes, he needs to stop talking and get the attorney there. Dorman claimed at times to remember nothing about the shooting, but he told his family a completely different story. He says, no, I remembered everything. He told his mom in a recorded jail phone call, all the way up to the reasons why I did it and everything. Dorman was given a $20 million bond. At his arraignment, he appeared in a padded green vest meant to stop prisoners from harming themselves. He would eventually plead not guilty by reason of insanity, which that didn't hold up. Dorman's attorneys acknowledged the horrific acts of their client. and said Dorman was struggling with mental illness at the time. He was profoundly sick. Being demonic isn't an illness. It's a character trait. They said the two experts who analyzed Dorman believe he was seriously mentally ill at the time of the offense. A defense expert opinioned that Dorman was suffering from bipolar disorder when he shot his sons. However, a third expert appointed by the court determined that Dorman did not have a serious mental illness, impairing his judgment. Dorman was never diagnosed with, treated for, or prescribed medication for any mental health condition before the shooting. Prosecutors said, adding to his statements to the police and others were inconsistent with those of someone who would have, that kind of suffering from delusional type of mental illness. This is the last thing I have, where he says, Chad Dorman says, talking to his brother on the phone in prison, he says, "Hey, they thought Hitler was big, dude." Referring to the attention and media coverage Chad was getting. He's like, I'm matching him. Chad is like boasting. Chad Dorman's boasting the fact that he's in the same arena as Hitler. All right, before we get to the next, where am I? The next criminal case. Let me just do a couple things here. I have the baby monitor here on my phone watching John. I mean, my husband and other son are watching my special needs son, but I'm also watching him here. There's tons of orbs in his room, and I'm just keeping an eye on the orbs. I'm a psychic. If I didn't let you know that earlier, I'm a psychic medium. And I do like to talk about these cases from my perspective as someone who often does interact with the actual victims in these crimes. I have not interacted with the little 3 boys that Chad Dorman took from us. The next case up I have interacted with, and I'll explain that to you as we get into the story. And it's the Chad and Lori Daybell case, which I can't say one case is worse or more severe than the other. They all have qualities of absolutely, I don't think insane or crazy is even the right word. It's just unfathomable, I guess, inhumane actions towards other human beings. Before we go on, hit that subscribe button right now while you're thinking about it. So, all right, so let's get into Lori Daybell. So this is the case that started out with a mom saying she can't find her kids. No one can find her kids. She's not really answering anybody. She's not owning up to anything to anyone. She's just real hush-hush about her kids. She's married at the time to her 4th husband. She's self-proclaiming religious fanatic. She believes in zombies, and I mean, it makes normal religious and spiritual people, it gives us a bad name. I'm not religious, but I'm, of course, spiritual because I'm a psychic. That's what I do. I interact with spirits and stuff. So, now, Lori Daybell was tried and convicted for the deaths of her son and her daughter. Her daughter was Tylee Ryan. She was 17. And only about a month or 2 ago, maybe, 8-9 weeks ago, Lori's only living child has a YouTube channel. And he came on the channel live, not live, but he videotaped it live, recording Lori on the phone. And she knew she was being recorded. He was recording himself on video and audio. and taking her phone call from the jail, and we could hear it. Tylee Ryan was found on the property of her 5th husband, Chad Daybell. She was found in the ground, dismembered, and parts burnt. But in this phone call to her son recently, she says Tylee took her own life. She took her own life. So what? Did she dismember herself too and light herself on fire, Lori? You know, it's not normal. It's not right. I mean, it's not because they're crazy. This is the thing. They know what they're doing. They do it on purpose. They're evil. Evil. These people I am talking about today we are looking at the demonic energy incarnation. We are looking at people who they're either born like this or they seek it. I'm going to sneeze, sorry. You can find demonic energy. It is not difficult. And if it knows you're wanting to see it, it'll find you. It's nothing to play with, I'm telling you. Don't play with Ouija boards either, please. And then the little boy, J.J. Vallow, Lori's adopted son. It was her husband Charles's, I think, nephew or grandnephew. What about him? How did he pass? Oh, she said it was an accident. He suffocated. She says Tylee accidentally killed her little brother. He was bound. His face was taped with one of Lori's hair under the tape. He was buried in Chad's property too. Chad went on trial and convicted for the death of his wife. He received the death penalty. Lori's in life without parole, any possibility of parole. Now, they're both going to be on trial in 2025 for their involvement in the death of Charles Vallow, Lori's 4th husband, which I think we all know Lori had her brother kill him. Alex confessed to killing him. He said it was self-defense, but it was not self-defense. You don't... No, just the way the gunshots happened, it's clearly not self-defense. It's shooting someone while they're down. That's how... I mean, he got shot more than once. Charles Vallow. And he asked for help. Charles is on video with police body cam a few days before. He's like, I need help. I don't know what to do. She thinks she's saying that I'm not me. I'm some other guy with a different name. And she says, my kids are zombies and like, I don't know what to do. Well, they ended up killing him. So the person who we all believe, well, I believe is who did the murdering was her brother, Alex, who himself ended up dead of natural causes, which nobody believes for a moment that it was natural. I don't know if if he was cremated or what, but I would love to have autopsy information on her brother Alex. So Lori and Chad are also going to be in court for the attempted murder of Lori's niece's ex-husband. So they were married at the time. Lori's niece and Brandon Boudreaux were married at the time. Someone who I believe it was Alex Cox, Lori's brother, attempted to kill him. But he did not get shot. Brandon Boudreaux did not get shot. So we have Charles murdered by Alex. We have Tylee and JJ murdered by Alex. Tammy, Alex tried to kill Tammy with a gun outside her home. Didn't shoot his target. So she was killed in another way at the house, either poisoning or overdose drugs of some sort. And then Alex dies. And then we have the attempted murder of Brandon Boudreaux. Lori loves attention. If you've seen any of the information of her online, she's always smiling in court. It's bizarre. I mean, yes, there's people like me who wish, which I don't wish this anymore, but, when I was young, I wanted to be famous. I wanted to be, an actress. I did some acting. I did some modeling, mostly acting. But she's taking it to the next level. She was on Wheel of Fortune for one thing. And then she did win Mrs. Texas or something. Yeah, she has a nice body. Okay, well, there's ways to get yourself out there without killing people. She killed her own kids, not with her own hands, but she had them killed. I can't even, like, my mind blocks itself. My mind can't even go to that place where, yeah, I feel like that's a good idea. Why would that be? It's not a good idea. So after Charles died, Lori and Chad go to Hawaii and get married like 3 days later. I mean, I don't know if it was actually 3 days, but it was very soon after. I mean, it was like a week or two, maybe at the most. And she knows her kids are, gone, and she's there in Hawaii. Lots of pictures of her. There's police body cam of her in her bikini with Chad, and apparently the SEX was amazing and, whatever. Oh my God. Cold-blooded. Now, Lori is now saying Chad brainwashed her with religion, but that's not true. I mean, it maybe is partly true, but her family, her uncle and her other brother have a YouTube channel. Everyone knows Lori was getting herself into all this garbage, this cult stuff. Now, I grew up in a cult. I guess I did participate in it sometimes when I was in trouble as a young child. If I was in trouble at home, my mom would send me and my brother to church with my dad to a cult. Yep. And I lived being involved in that till I was about 18, 20 years old. I mean, let me tell you what religion and cults specifically can do to your life. Lori saw Chad as a means to an end. He was a good candidate to get her what she wanted. Chad was kind of famous in his little world of religion cults, and he wrote a few books, and, he had some popularity, and she wanted to be the wife of this guy who, she wants everyone to drink the Kool-Aid that her and Chad are going to be passing around. And I mean, just weird stuff, weird stuff. We hear about this kind of stuff. We see it maybe in a documentary of some other family. We hear about these women escaping. I mean, this stuff is real. This stuff happens, and it's happening now. So this isn't like an isolated incident. So let me show you this quick clip. It's just like 3 minutes of Lori.
Lori Vallow, the so-called doomsday mom, appeared in court this morning after she was a no-show last week for a hearing.
And the convicted killer outlined her mental health history to a judge. Fox 10 investigator Justin Lum joins us with the latest now.
And John, Christina, as you know, we know Vallow wants to represent herself in this murder conspiracy trial. And the judge has said if she is deemed competent by 2 doctors, then Vallow can be pro se and represent herself when this is all done and when she's ready, and there would be no delay to what was once scheduled as a February 2025 trial. But in court today, the judge was hesitant about all that, denying her motion to withdraw a Rule 11 request. Lori Vallow back in court, surrounded by her team of public defenders, accused of conspiring in the fatal shooting of her fourth husband Charles Vallow in Chandler and the attempted murder of her niece's ex-husband Brandon Boudreaux in Gilbert. 2 cases from 2019 that investigators say were motivated by Vallow's bizarre religious beliefs.
She has the sufficient mental capacity to understand the nature of the dispute, formulate a defense. We've now had a couple of conversations.
5 years later, court-appointed doctors are evaluating her to see if she's fit to stand trial.
To my understanding, there's been no history of irrational behavior. We now have a medical opinion from Dr. McGady who says that she's competent. There's been nothing else in her development.
That doctor meet with her?
He spoke with her briefly.
Since being placed in the Rule 11 competency process, one doctor has briefly spoke with Vallow and reviewed her records. A second doctor, Camille Hernandez, has not been able to meet with Vallow. Prosecutors say the defendant has not cooperated in the evaluation. Judge Boreski asked Vallow a series of questions about her triple murder case in Idaho, where she was deemed incompetent for a significant amount of time.
Were you ever previously determined to be incompetent at any point?
Not to my understanding. So my understanding was that the judge did the same thing that you did, in abundance of caution. Let's go ahead and put her in and see, and I came out competent.
Well, when you say you came out competent, was there a period of time where you were ruled as incompetent?
I would say technically they did do that. That's how they put you into the program in that state.
It took 10 months for Vallow to be restored to competency. She went to trial in 2023 and was convicted of killing her 2 children, JJ and Tylee, and conspiring in the murder of her husband, Chad Daybell's first wife, Tammy.
I did go through a process of several things, several classes, competency class, and meeting with doctors and evaluators, many evaluators.
Are you aware of any diagnosis that you were given?
Yes.
Then what is that?
Her defense quickly cut her off and objected to that information being heard on the record, leading to a sidebar. Ultimately, Boreski decided to keep Vallow in the competency evaluation process, citing details from her previous lawyer.
In their motion, they cite that she's, in their opinion, suffering from some form of delusions.
Boreski says a new doctor will replace Dr. Hernandez after learning she had seen a TV program on Vallow. That second evaluation will be crucial. And Vallow has another Rule 11 competency hearing set for December 5th. If she is deemed competent by the second doctor, that will be crucial, and we could possibly see this February 2025 trial back on schedule.
Okay, so, all right. So the third case, cold-blooded criminal, is none other than Richard freaking Allen, Rick Allen, Dickie Allen, as his friends at Walmart used to call him behind his back. This is a case out of Indiana, Delphi, Indiana, small town. Everybody knows everybody. So when this crime happened, these 2 little girls were found deceased. They all said it couldn't be us, couldn't be anyone here. We all know each other. Police better get on it and start following people. And yeah, wasn't anyone here. Well, it was. It was someone that worked at the local pharmacy. He was a pharmacy tech. He was a manager of the store, so he kind of had his hands in everyone's business, including developing photos. So he knew everything about these 2 little girls. And I'm talking about the Delphi murders of Libby German and Abby Williams. It's also been called the TikTok murders, which I'll explain why. I call him the crybaby killer, Dick Allen, crybaby killer. This man can do awful, awful things to 2 little girls, but when it's time for him to face his judgment and face what he's done and pay the price for it, he can't handle it. Cannot handle it. He's a crybaby. He makes up all kinds of stuff. So let me read my notes to you. So this was a local man in Delphi, Indiana, finally faced a jury of his peers this fall, and he was convicted on all the charges and received 130 years in prison. He's lucky he didn't get the death penalty. In my opinion, he would qualify for that. But I'm not saying that I would have liked him to be put to death. I think suffering is more staying in jail versus being put to death. But because of Richard Allen, when this happened, everybody in this small town had to take a step back. And, you know, these little towns are just middle America. They're so sweet. They're, you know, they have usually older homes that have basements, and they're just really neat looking, and big trees. And, you know, it's that small town kind of, what are those movies? Hallmark movies, you know, where it's just real cute. There's farmers and cowboys and, you know, just a small town USA. But because of Richard Allen and his terrorism, these people had to start locking their doors. They did not feel safe. And not only locking their doors to their house, but their car. People were scared in some businesses of the town. People didn't want their kids out front playing anymore, or, you know, a lot. When I tell you that when a crime happens, it's not happening to simply the two main people. And in this case, the two girls who were murdered. It affects everything. It especially affects the town itself, but then that energy bleeds all over the world. Look at us. I'm in California. This case has affected me greatly. I get so angry at this man and at other people who do this kind of thing. So, to me, this is terrorism. It's domestic terrorism. I'll say it again. I don't care. That's what it is to me, okay? Allen admitted, Richard Dickie Allen admitted to law enforcement the day of the murder or the next day. I can't remember what day it was. But he approached the law enforcement. He's like, oh, hey, yeah, I was out there. I was out there taking a walk. Yeah, I walked on the bridge, the Monon High Bridge. I didn't see those girls. I don't know if I saw anybody. I was just walking. Police took a full report from Richard. They took a full, real report with all of his lies. So why did it take them 5 years to arrest him? That's the question everybody was asking, especially me. Because had this paperwork been properly processed, Richard would have been in jail a long, long time ago. So his police report got lost, misplaced, couldn't find it. Nobody knew. No one remembered. But then it popped up, and they're like, hey, what about this lead? This looks interesting, doesn't it? Well, let's bring him in. Let's give him a little chit-chat and find out what's happening. So they did. They brought Richard Allen in. He claimed he was innocent. He went there a few times, and the first couple times he's like, oh, I'm happy to help. So happy to help you catch this guy or woman or whatever. But then his stories weren't making sense. It wasn't consistently consistent. And yes, I understand that when we tell a story one time, the truth, it could be different the second, third, 50th time. That's just how our brains work. I know that, but I'm not talking about that kind of consistency. So at one point, the police said, we need to look in your home. We need to go to your house. And where they found several guns. When they took the gun matches up with the unspent bullet that was found at the crime scene. So what does that mean? Well, around the girls, there was some evidence, and one of the pieces of evidence was kind of under some shrub, bush, rocks, whatever. There was a 22 caliber bullet. Not a shell. It hadn't been fired, but it had been cycled through. So it wasn't like a new bullet that was just pulled out of a box. This bullet had some scratching on it. So when the police analyzed it and processed the gun by putting in a brand new bullet, the brand new bullet matches the bullet that was in Richard Allen, that matched up with what the girls had near the crime scene. It makes sense. Every gun has like a thumbprint. It just does. That's how they are on the inside. They're not smooth. It may look smooth, but as the bullet passes through, even if you're just cycling it through, you can cycle the bullets out without shooting them off, and they fall out of the gun and onto the floor. That was a match. That was a match. Richard says, "No, it wasn't me. No. I think I know who did it. I think it was that religious group, the Odinists. Do you know them, the Odinists? They have sacrificial killings. And this is him talking, the way the girls' bodies were found were exactly like someone in that religious cult would do. It was them, and I can prove it to you." So Richard's claiming to have proof of all this stuff that was done by a religious group. So now he's finger pointing at a group of people who have nothing to do with the killings. He has no proof. Then Richard says, well, I should say at that point he was arrested. And once he gets into the jail, there's so many lies that are told about how he was treated in the jail. I don't care. I don't care if some of them are true. You get what you deserve when you're a killer. You deserve much worse than being bullied by the fellow inmate or prison guard. Richard Allen lost a ton of weight. And I had something to say about it. And people are like, "Audrey, you're so wrong. He's got cancer. How dare you? How dare you talk about that man who's being abused and dying of cancer?" Well, friend, he didn't have cancer. Still doesn't. And yet he was put by himself, not as a punishment, but as protection. Protection. Protective custody is what that is called. You want your friend Dickie Allen out in general population? Do you know what would have happened to him? Then he would have something to cry about. The jail did him a favor by putting him in protective custody. But Richard's saying, Richard said, well, there's two COs, two correction officers, over there. They have patches on their sleeves that say they're Odinists. It was them. Ask them about it. Oh my God. This guy he doesn't even know how to commit a crime in the right way. What are you doing? Do you not think this stuff can be proven or disproven, whatever the case may be? Yeah, and Richard was starving himself. I promise you, he was doing it to himself. He was not being abused by the prison guards. They were giving him his food. But you know what? He didn't eat his food. But you know what he did eat? His own poop. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, just like Hitler, this man chose to eat his own feces and drink the water out of the toilet and bang his head. All by himself. Trying to look like he's crazy. Richard, do you not think we see you? I mean, this is like a cartoon. It's like a little kid. You know, I worked in education for a long time. It's like watching a little child going, I didn't have the cookie, and your face is covered in cookie crumbs. I didn't have any. Covered in cookie crumbs. It wasn't me. He's caught red-handed, and he's just making up stories left and right. So then we have, turn that down. Then we have little Dickie. Little Dickie began to confess his crimes over 60 times. I think it was 62 confessions the man gave while in protective custody. He told his wife on the phone, which is recorded, and the jurors in the trial did hear that. He told his lawyers he was guilty. He told his psychiatrist he was guilty. His wife says, no, it wasn't. He didn't do it. It's the lawyer and the CEOs there. They are trying to tell Rick that he did it. They're trying to convince him to believe it. And he was evaluated so many different times under so many different circumstances, and it just never proved right. It never was proven that he confessed under some sort of duress. It's just not true. And the judge, Judge Gull, fired his 2 attorneys at one point. And honestly, I was not surprised at all by the fact those 2 guys got fired, because they look like they were one step away from being in the prison. I'm just saying, that's just my personal opinion. I did not trust them, especially one of them. Did not trust them at all. She said they're an embarrassment to the county. They're unqualified, incompetent, unfit. So she assigned a new attorney for Richard. Well, of course, Richard, being the crybaby he is, he got that overturned, and he got his 2 slimy lawyers back on his team. And from that point forward, his lawyers consistently tried to get rid of the judge. They did not want that judge because she didn't like him. She could see through his bull, that judge. So it didn't work. It was the same judge the whole time. Really awful things were said about her and the way she works her courtroom, but it stuck. She was still there. Yeah, Richard said, well, I had to say I was guilty because the Odinist guards, the correction officers, told me they would kill my wife if I didn't confess. That can be proven lies, Dick. These 2 slimy lawyers, as I call them, not very professional. And I can see why the judge felt that they were unfit and unqualified. The lawyer's office was open. They had, people coming and going, as offices often do. And someone, I had his name written down somewhere, but I don't even feel like looking for it because of what happened. So this person was a young man who took his cell phone out at the lawyer's office because on the computer screens, he saw the crime scene photos. And he took pictures with his own phone of the girls. And he passed it around. And it got on the internet. I mean, it is just unreal. That person ended up taking his own life because it's evil. You put evil out, you're going to get it back. You know, it's not pretty. It's, again, spread this poison. These people are poison, and the poison spreads so easy, spreads on to this person or this company or that team, this group of people. It spreads so easy, just like rumors and lies. So what makes Richard Allen a cold-blooded criminal? Well, he took the lives of 2 little girls, 13 and 14. Probably scared them with the gun that he had. That's where that bullet fell out of. It fell out of his gun. Stripped them down. When they were found, Libby, the older one, the 14-year-old, she was found completely naked. And the other girl had on not only her clothes, but also Libby's clothes. Not all of them, but a lot of them. So, and I know one thing was the bra. Can you imagine what a sick person that is? It wasn't the Odinist, Richard. And he's a crybaby because once he got caught, once they figured out, yeah, this is the guy. He just basically crapped in his pants. And he, like a child. I didn't do it. It was him over there. No, it's because of them. And then they said this. I mean, like I said, he can't even commit a crime in the right way. He doesn't even... He thought he was going to get away with it. He really, really thought he had gotten away with it. Why did he get caught? What was it that got him put behind bars?
Tuesday, the jury saw the entire video of the suspected killer in the Delphi murders. Clips from that video have been released to the public, but with a blurry screenshot showing the suspect. Now, for the first time, the 43-second video was played in full. Also taking the stand this week, witnesses from the park that day that the 2 teen girls were killed, all claiming to have seen the guy captured on that video. Bob Siegel was in the courtroom.
Jurors saw the entire recording today and then heard investigators talk about how they analyzed that crucial video and audio. This fuzzy moment of video circulated for years as investigators searched for a suspect, a man known as Bridge Guy, a man prosecutors now say is the accused, Richard Allen. Testimony revealed the recording was taken at 2:13 the afternoon the girls went for a walk. For some of it, the camera is pointed down, showing the Monon High Bridge. Our reporter in the courtroom, Bob Siegel, said he could hear a girl's voice saying there's no path at one point. He learned that voice is Libby's. An investigator said his examination detected a male voice saying down the hill. A state police forensic examiner explained how he enhanced the video, adjusting color, size, angle, and more to create a usable image for investigators. In fact, one of the women who was on the trail that day told jurors, "I immediately knew when I saw that photo, that was the man I saw on the bridge." She and 2 other women who say they saw Bridge Guy on the trails just before the murders testified Tuesday afternoon. All of them described Bridge Guy in much the same way. Larger or taller, in his 20s or 30s, muscular, with a boyish or youthful appearance. And some said he had brown, poofy hair. But those descriptions do not match Richard Allen's, who is not tall or muscular and was in his mid-40s at the time of the murders. Also today, jurors saw 49 pieces of evidence investigators collected in the woods near the girls' bodies and during the autopsies. That included clothes and shoes, swabs of blood, Libby's cell phone, the bullet cartridge, fibers collected from girls' fingernails.
There is heightened security around the courthouse where the trial is taking place. We've learned 36 different agencies are there assisting.
Yeah, that's how it all came to an end. What can we do? What can we do to not have this happen? You know, we have to basically act like we live in a third world freaking country. Can't go out past dark. You can't go anywhere by yourself. You know, I feel like I have to have my husband with me most of the time. I go anywhere. I don't like going into stores. You know, this is why I consider these people terrorists, because the fear they enjoy instilling into people is real. It's not, this isn't TV. These are real things that happened. And thank goodness these 3 cases are done, put to rest. We do have Lori and Chad still going to court for those other charges that they'll be facing. They are facing now. And sadly, there'll be more. There'll be new ones. And I really can't help but feel if the punishment fit the crime, the crimes wouldn't come as often. If we can save at least one person, one event, one murder, one kidnapping, then we're headed in the right direction. Then that's progress. But so often I feel like we're going backwards because these criminals are, with the exception of Dick Allen, they're getting smarter. They're figuring out ways to be successful. So that's what I have for today. Those are my top 3 cold-blooded criminal cases that we covered earlier this year. And there'll be more, like I said, so stay tuned for those. Please hit that subscribe button. Do it right now. It's the end of the year. How about a gift for old Audrey? give me a new subscriber. I appreciate you guys. And again, check out my book. I did it for you. Please know how much my heart is in this book. And I know the illustrator too. He loves everything about it. I'm proud of it, and I know it's going to help people. And maybe buy it for someone who has lost somebody or lost an animal, pet. Because pets are people too. They really are. And if you go to my Instagram, you'll see plenty of my cats. I have 4 of them. I have lots of videos of them on my Instagram. Check out my other channel where it's just behind the scenes. It's me cleaning, cooking, thrifting, taking care of my son, and just general life stuff that happens when I'm not on camera making these crime videos. Thanks so much, you guys. Take care. Have a safe new year. Stay safe. Be smart. Know your surroundings when you're out in public. Okay, you guys, take care. I'll see you soon. Happy New Year.